Hello, everybody. It's so nice to be here. I love this setup. Once again, my name is Madeleine MacGillivray. I'm the Climate Justice Program Lead at Seeding Sovereignty. We have a little cutie table over there for folks to follow up with us after this talk. But we're going to spend the next 30-ish minutes talking about the launch of a new initiative, and it literally is live today. Like we pressed go like this morning. So you all are going to be the first users of this tool, which is a really fun and exciting opportunity. It's called the Climate Policy Action Portal. And we're going to talk about what it is, and we're going to all demo it together. It's actually, even though it's like a kind of in real time response to the moment, we've been working on it for about a year. Clearly, I forgot to talk about our organization first. So, Seeding Sovereignty is a multi-voice environmental social justice organization. We're a small grassroots nonprofit. We're working on emergent front lines to slow climate change and disrupt systemic oppression. We really meet the moment, which we're going to illustrate through this tool, because we're so agile and we can work quickly and in kind of a responsive manner to provide resources, tools, trainings, community, and campaigning for climate justice so that we can all actually have a regenerative and calm future. This is our theory of change. It's really small, so I'm going to read it for you. Thank you. So we build momentum through shared successes, recognizing that each victory strengthens our collective power and moves us closer to collective liberation. We cultivate connection and joy, empowering individuals and communities to be seen, valued, and part of a shared movement for collective transformation. We turn narrative building into action by making the tools for change immediately accessible, and we provide tools and knowledge to community leaders, fostering sustainable action that's grounded in self-determination and driven by those on the front lines of colonial injustice. And lastly, we equip communities with the knowledge and skills needed to engage in social justice activism, fostering a culture of learning and action that supports long-term change. That's a lot of words, and we're going to show you how we do that with the Climate Portal. So I'm from New York City, and I would consider myself to be passionate about talking to my electeds, okay, about bills that don't exist yet, right? They're bills, they're not policy, that I would like for them to help pass. There's some really exciting legislation in kind of the pipeline in a lot of places, but especially in New York City. So when I was thinking about how we can kind of meet the moment, we're not a politically focused nonprofit, but a lot of change happens at the grassroots policy level, at the hyper-local level. And when I was doing my own research and talking to folks around me who are in the political world or who are climate justice kind of policy advocates, we realized that access to information about policy is really, really bad. It's really low. I should have put it here, but the website that chronicles and keeps track of New York City's policies, it's called Legistar. It looks like it's from 2002. It probably is from 2002. It is archaic, so not user-friendly. And if you're somebody, like, who here has tried to like look up climate policies in New York City or their area? Has anyone here used Legistar by any chance? Yeah, okay. Oh, hi, it's so nice to see you. Fallen upon the gray web pages of Legistar. It's just not fun, and it's not easy to understand what's going on in New York in terms of climate policy. Like, what is my city council member? There's 51 city council districts in New York. What's my city council member, Shahana Hanif, co-sponsoring or sponsoring for climate? So access to that kind of information, if you're trying to be an advocate, is just really low. But also, if you're not even trying, if you care a lot about your community, you're feeling not crazy about government processes, you are not even necessarily understanding the importance of grassroots kind of policy advocacy, then that makes a lot of sense too. And then Legistar is even worse, right? Just information is not there. And so bills that are waiting to get voted on, right? They're just not passing. Because what happens is, say a council member puts forward a bill. Let's say it's a decarbonization bill, like not sexy at all, but like really important. Then it will make it to committee. So it'll get to the right committee and then it'll be on the agenda. for everybody to vote on. But it just like won't get voted on because it's not a priority, because not enough constituents, not enough of us have voiced our like support to our electeds that, oh, we really want you to vote on this. We really want you to co-sponsor. So really important bills are just sitting because there's not enough community kind of advocacy happening. And that's really important. And this is coming from someone, again, who does not have a policy background. Our organization is not geared towards policy, but we're realizing that this is really important in order to actually move the needle. So what did we create? The Climate Policy Action Portal. It's just a website. It's a web page. It's very accessible. And it's an all-in-one roadmap to hyper-local action. So if you want to take action on climate policy and you don't know where to start, this is the place to start. This is a wonderful place to start. So we really frame it as it's a movement tool. It's making policy advocacy accessible by tracking legislation in New York City and beyond. So this is kind of the pilot, is New York City at the hyper-local level, not the state level yet, but we intend to grow, and then be able to integrate that with actions. And we're using our friends at Chile to integrate the actions. So this is what happens when you land on the webpage, is you see a live map, actions that you can take by district. So what this map is, New York City climate bills by city council district, what does that mean? So an open source database that we found organizes New York City by district, by city council district. So there's 51, as I mentioned, city council districts in New York. And every pin leads to an action that is specific to that district. So if I want to send an email to my city council member that says Intro 772. Intro 772 is a bill that would weaken a really important bill called Local Law 97. I don't know if anyone here has heard of it. And we don't want it to pass. We don't want Intro 772 to pass. But we want Local Law 97 to stay strong. When you go to this page, you'll click on the markers and find your district. And that link will go directly to the action that is specific to your city council member. And so what does this mean? So the action of the month is that we have kind of editorialized it so that once a month, there's a new bill that needs help that really should pass. And we have created a broadcast channel on our Instagram page that allows you to directly stay up to date and take the action of the month when it's ready. The next thing you see on the website is resources and the step-by-step zine. So this is the zine that is over there that is literally breaks down in like 5 steps. You want to organize for climate policy. You just don't know where to start. What is step 1? What is step 1? What is the next step? How do I continue to build momentum? How do I find organizations if I'm not in New York City to plug into? And to volunteer for even. How do I create my action pod? How do I create my own spreadsheet of bills? I live in Minneapolis. I don't live in New York City. Great. Well, we have trainings coming up that are going to show you how we did it so that we can replicate this and grow it. Our action library, we're sticking to like a very accessible model here. So we're actually using the concept of radical Google Docs and radical spreadsheets. I don't know if folks have heard of this. It's basically treating Google Docs and spreadsheets like websites themselves. And so a lot of these are linked to docs that just have running lists that folks can submit comments to and suggestions for. So they're growing resource documents that are totally widely shareable and crowdsourced. And then we have like a Luma page of climate policy events that is intended to be national that folks can submit so that no matter where you are, you'll be able to find gatherings, physical or online gatherings of folks who are interested at this intersection, who want to be more involved. The next thing you'll see on our website, is a map. And this is one of the asks for today is wherever you're from or wherever you're based, to help us add to the map. As I mentioned, this is just launching today, and we're in New York City. But what is this map of? So this is going to be a map of spreadsheets. So fun and so sexy. And we're going to make it so fun because climate policy is like the most dry thing ever, not to me, and hopefully not to you all. But to a lot of people, it is. As you can see with our choices of how we've chosen to communicate about this and represent this information visually, we want it to be as kind of accessible and like fun as possible. So this is a map that will continue to be populated of this is a really fun use of Google spreadsheet, radical Google spreadsheets. This is the cover page of the Google sheet, and it is our database of all the existing climate bills in New York City. And I want to be clear about this. As you can kind of read here, but it's a little bit small. We're talking about pieces of legislation that are not enacted, that are not enforced yet. They are yet to be voted on, right? So they're bills, they're not policies. The reason why it's so hard to do this and why it doesn't exist is because it requires meetings with city council member offices, local political folks in the ecosystem who have that information because it's just not Googleable. A lot of it is not Googleable. So we've taken the time over the past year to meet with a lot of folks, ask them what their vision of New York is from a climate justice perspective, where they're at as a decision maker and a policy maker, and then direction on what the bills that they have proposed are so that we can put together this database. So we've used a lot of different modes of research, as I mentioned, interviews, but also just Google, Legistar, and we're actually putting together a landscape analysis that details how exactly we did this so that we can actually make that more accessible for folks who want to continue to replicate this. So I'm going to go to another slide, another like tab in the spreadsheet, and that tab is the bills. So you're not obviously supposed to be able to read them because there's a lot. There's actually 76 right now. And so when you click on that QR code, you will have access to the spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet talks about the description of the bill itself. We have categorized by sort of sector and subsector. We have also created areas where we have actually automated the updating of the spreadsheet. Because what happens, okay, when let's just pick a random bill. I can't read this at all, so I'm not even going to do that. What happens when a bill has 13 co-sponsors? Again, there's 51 city council members, city council districts. If a bill has 13 co-sponsors, it needs 26 to be able to be put up for a vote, to have majority so that it can basically the mayor it doesn't matter, right? The mayor can say no, but the city council overrides the mayor. And so once you get to 26 co-sponsors, that's when the bill is able to really pass. But what happens if we put this up and forgot to check? And Tiffany Caban co-sponsored, and we needed one more, and now we have 14. But you just sent an email to Tiffany Caban saying, please co-sponsor, but she's like, a week ago I just signed on. So we need to keep the information up to date. And when you have so many bills at the same time in a spreadsheet that people are actually using, the information has to be accurate. So we worked with a very generous and wonderful software engineer to automate the spreadsheet. And we are using the API of the city council website, Legistar, which is archaic, to literally, I run a program. He wrote the code for it. And the program updates everything in real time. So we have numbers, names. It's crazy. City, like if it's a new year, the bill has to get reintroduced under a different name, but there's no schedule for that. And like nobody knows how that works. And yeah, like we're also making a visual flow chart of that to make that more, I can't even describe it. So there's a lot of information that has to get updated. And so this is like an in real time, accurate depiction of the current kind of legislative landscape of New York City from a climate perspective. In the spreadsheet, we also have names of city council members by district, their contact information. We have a glossary of terms. What does in committee mean, et cetera, et cetera. So that we're actually kind of currently building out as we go. So I want to kind of take a step back and say the conversation around this and our vision for this tool is that you use it, is that you share it with folks to be able to continue to grow it and deepen it, because what we're after here, right, is like sustained action and having tools that take all the information that we're all very overwhelmed by, especially when it comes to policy advocacy. Like, what is that? This world feels very foreign to most of us. It's kind of like this inner club that if you don't speak the language, you don't really feel like you can participate. And actually continue to democratize it so that's like a one place for everybody to come and experience clarity on how they can take actual action on passing really important climate policy. So our vision for this tool to grow includes in our resource library, right, the ability for folks to have the tools to bring legislation that they might be seeing in New York City to their area, but also to grow it to their city. So again, my big ask is to attend our training that we're going to be hosting. This QR code goes to that events page on our website that allows you to sign up for the training, so that if you don't live in New York City and you want to add to our growing database and be a part of the Climate Policy Action Portal, that you can. So we'll be providing the template for the Google Sheet and guidance on how to automate it with the code. Some of it requires a little bit more, like, you have to you have to find someone who helps to code in your area. It's not like entirely fleshed out, right? But we're just responding to the moment to be like, how do we get our feet on the ground to use our passion and our like desire, right? To actually get this important policies passed. Being a pollinator is an important one because this tool is important for folks, as I mentioned, who are passionate about policy, who might not be in this world, but it's really important for folks who are most impacted by the lack of policy or the policies that are intended to hurt them. And so, if it's not being used by people in their communities, then what is it for? So, please continue to communicate this tool and share it with your communities so that it actually reaches everybody who might not even consider themselves to be a policy advocate. I think the point of this is to say we are all policy advocates, redefining what that means and continue to democratize policy advocacy, because it has been kind of gate kept on purpose from a lot of us, and that's not how it should be. Again, like crowdsourced, this is kind of a dynamic tool. Please give us feedback and follow us at Seating Sovereignty. Follow the broadcast channel for the actions of the month. And thank you so much for listening so intently. Okay, we have 5 minutes if folks have a question. Yes.
Do you guys have a plan for a social structure for supporting your system? When a new piece of legislation is getting ready to be, like to get the 13 council members on board, are you going to have people like saying, hey, we need to get this person on board because they've previously supported like bills?
Really great question. I think it gets into a deeper strategy that we are absolutely building out. I think what you're touching on is something that I would really like to see for this, that we will be implementing, which is to be able to have like responding in the moment based on the legislative kind of calendar, like bill, whatever, if a bill is going to be up for a vote in 2 weeks, that's the action of the month. And then can we have accompanying rallies? Can we be working with that council member? Nobody has the time for this, but you can actually testify very easily for a bill. Do folks know this? There's no like jumping through hoops process. You just sign up, you give your name, you tell them you're showing up, and then you show up and you talk for 2 minutes. Or you could do this over Zoom. You could also submit a written testimony. But things like that include, yes, as you're saying, more social tactics for passing the bills. Absolutely. There's also a lot of organizations that another response to the moment with this tool is that there are so many orgs or just groups, community gardens, faith, churches, faith groups who like they have like their own version of a spreadsheet with like 3 bills that they really care about that they are working on. So there's like a million different spreadsheets that are all across the board. And how can we work with the groups that are really leading the charge on advocacy for specific bills to increase their impact? Yeah.
Can you go a little bit more into how you talked about how there are steps to kind of replicate this for maybe another city or state? Like, say if I know people in another state and I know those people may be interested in something like this for their city, what would the steps I need to take for them to like know about that?
In order to get other folks on board in other cities, you would have them come to the training that we're hosting, and during the training, we will be basically mapping folks who are in different areas across the country, adding their in progress spreadsheets to our map, but more importantly, also being able to provide like collaboration. So we don't have the capacity right now to be able to actually be like co-creating in many different cities, but we would love to do that. That's the vision, right? Is for us to be able to be collaborative in a way where we're not just saying, here you go, good luck, and never mind, but to be able to say, okay, you live in, I don't know, Austin, this is your API, this is your landscape, these are the main priorities, this is what the community is saying from this area, this neighborhood, and how can we actually provide like have capacity to collaborate and make this scalable. So it's a great question. I didn't quite answer it, but the training. Okay, thank you all very, very much for listening. Thank you.